Barkov goes back in. Forsling goes back in. So Ekblad now is the only injured player not in.
On defense.
And he skates full contact today.
On defense, who's coming out for guys?
Montour from the last game for Forsling.
And then looking at the matchup tonight, obviously, heavyweight battle, top spot in the division on the line. You have two of these left against Boston. Do you put any extra emphasis on this game, just given the caliber of the opponent, as you kind of look to tune up for the playoffs?
I think you have to. So if we just use that block of words, and I understand why you would ask it that way, do I put any extra emphasis? I don't think that you can't, as a coach, come in and, because then that would, from a relative point of view, be that I would put less emphasis on a game of a team that's out the playoffs, and you just couldn't walk in and say, hey, well, this should be fun tonight, It's a long way of saying no, but you don't need to, right? Everybody, there's enough of an experience between the two teams of the style of game that's played, the cost of the games that we play against each other, that they will all be very aware of it and wired. Both teams will be wired. Their coach wasn't happy with their practice or their last few games, and we had the exact same day before we went up to New York. So we're all in the same boat. We're trying to find that edge. Both teams would be pretty confident they're going to make the playoffs. They're trying to find that edge to stay sharp, and at the same time, the players, they want to go here. They want to get the big games going. So we both need this game tonight.
How close is that Ekblad to getting back where you need?
Yeah, I think close. He's definitely day to day. He wants in. We're going to be real careful. We're going to hold him longer than he wants us to hold him. He's going to have to get through 2 or 3 practices with some bumping and grinding, which is a challenge right now because we're not practicing and won't until April 8th. So we just want to be sure on this one.
Tarasenko, just been with you guys for about 3 weeks now. Just how have you seen him fitting into?
Yeah, he's fitting in just fine. Most importantly, I watch kind of how they move around each other in the room, and he's got lots of friends, and he's all that matters, right? The connection between players, that's been good. But we've had, Barkov in, Barkov out. We've moved him left and right, so we're still. I don't even want to say maybe experimenting is the right word. Tonight will be interesting because I know the Lundell line and I know the Bennett line. And then I'm looking for 2 pieces of the Barkov, Rodriguez, and Tarasenko line. If I can get all 3 pieces going, that's good. We'll leave Reinhart there as long as it works for the Florida Panthers. If it doesn't, and we need to produce differently, then we'll go back with Barkov and Reinhart together. But we still got a few games. We moved the lines around in the playoffs last year too, so it's not something I have to have set in stone. I don't want it set in stone. I want just enough background information on pairs that I can go to.
How does Alexander Barkov change the complexion of what your team does?
Oh, he plays in all situations. So our penalty kill has been pretty good when he's been out, but it's never quite as good on the faceoffs. But our power play had a few games where it didn't go. Vlad scored a nice goal for us in the last game. And then the matchup, the strong left-handed face-off man. But almost, tonight's an unusual night in that when you're making your decision on matchups, you probably start with Barkov. But tonight we won't. We'll start with Lundell and we'll start with Bennett to see what matchups we would want for those guys in the playoffs or just for tonight. And then see what Barkov and Rodriguez and Tarasenko you kind of get to eat what you kill, see what they can get done, right? Can they take an advantage of not having to play against possibly Coyle or Zajac? Can we find an advantage somewhere else? Well, that will be up to them, how well they play, how hard they play, and then certainly we get great players on the other team. We've got to take care of those guys too. So,
going back to the Luostarinen, Lundell, Reinhart line, what worked so well with those 3 during the playoffs, and now over the last couple of games, they looked like they were clicking too.
Yeah. What is it? It's well, for each Luostarinen is really hard on the puck, and he gets to pucks. So he's a great defender on that, but he's an aggressive defender, and he creates offense for the other 2 by doing the heavy lifting. And then Lundell is in. He is naturally gifted as a defensive player, but I don't think that's where his focus is. He wants to produce, right? He wants to put up numbers. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good thing. So he's that. But even in his default, we use him to kill penalties at times. He's going to be a good defensive player. in his background from Finland, he would understand the defensive side of the game. Reinhart has the capacity, the mental capacity to work off both those guys. So he can be as good defensively as either of them and better, but he's also got the hands, right? He can produce the offense that maybe the other two don't quite have. And then the three of them, and neither one of them cheat. Sam Reinhart is just a brilliant mentor for young players because he's got 50 goals and he never cheats the game, not once. So he's really good. Unless you're trying to sign him as a free agent, in which case, a real attitude problem is hard to deal with.
I mean, for those two guys, for the early part of the season when they had a rotating cast of guys
Yep.
on their line, it seemed like they had to try to carry more of the load this year, and it kind of resulted in lower numbers for them. I mean,
Yeah.
it's for them to get a guy like Reinhart back on their line.
Yeah, for sure. Some of it's offensive belief. I also think with Lundy in his contract year, there's more pressure on him early to get off to that offensive start. And when that doesn't happen, the player has a tendency to lose a little confidence. I think that happened with Lundell, and then he's bounced back. I thought as soon as Rodriguez went there, as a matter of fact, about 3 weeks ago, that they were pretty darn good together, and that's an option for us. That's a place that we could absolutely go if we need to. I like that. But there's something with they have scored enough huge goals that they believe they can, right? They can defend and score. So in Toronto, down 2-0, game 2, they score the goal that makes it 2-1, and that might be the series. That might be the most important goal they scored. We scored in that series because it started the process of getting home up 2. And then, for the other team, then winning 4 of the next 5. That's a big ask. So they have some big goal, maybe not series winning goals, but they have some big goals in their history.
You touched on this a little bit earlier, but Jim Montgomery has been pretty vocal about how this game against your team just means more. Does it mean more to you personally, this rivalry that's developed between the Panthers and the Bruins?
I think they're more fun as you get older. There are some games on the schedule that you got to drink a certain amount of coffee to get up for. It's just true, right? But both coaches will be wired up for this one because it's going to be fun. The decisions you make matter. You feel like you're part of the game a little bit, right? That'll make it not one of 82. We haven't beat them yet this year. I don't think we beat them much last year. And then 2 defensemen were out for a bit. Then Barkey didn't play in game 2. And everybody wants to start flexing a little bit before the playoffs. Maybe just for your own bench. Feel good about your own bench, right? Yeah, it's a bigger game. Team that wins will make it feel it's a way bigger game. If you lose, it's not that big a deal. Move on to the next one. So, it's more fun.
Goaltender night, coach?
Goaltender?
Yeah.
Sergei Bobrovsky.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, everybody.
Thanks, Coach.